This conference will now be recorded.
It is now 6:30 p.m. on February the 11th, 2021. Scared to find out what the degree is, but it's pretty cold out there, guys. So as we begin, this is our regular scheduled meeting. We have a quorum available. We have Josh McCabe, Sam Eason, Elaine Priest, Ashley Majors, and Michelle Ty are all with us. And notice is hereby given in accordance with the order of the office of the governor issued actually March. This is an old piece of paper I got. I think he started this out March, and now here we are in February. There is another extension in place. By telephone conference in order to advance the public health goal of limiting face-to-face meetings, also called social distancing, to slow the spread of the coronavirus 19. This meeting will be closed to in-person attendance by the public, but they can go online and dial in and participate. So we have now called to order, and we have announcements from council members and myself. Council members, who has an announcement? Josh. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the city, I'd just like to say that our thoughts and condolences go out to everyone affected in the accident on 35 today. And as a reminder to everyone, if you have to get out in this weather, please be very careful. Just because you have four-wheel drive does not mean that you're going to stop. That just means all four tires are going to slide. Please remember to give yourself plenty of distance to stop with someone in front of you, and just be careful out there. I know there's a lot of accidents right now, and we don't need to add to it. Thank you.
And Josh, I heard it may or may not be right. Was this on the toll road lane, or is that just a rumor going around?
No, it was on 35 going over the bridge near downtown. Last reports were about 100 vehicles and around 5 fatalities.
Oh, good Lord. Appreciate your letting everybody know about this. Also, I got a call earlier today from a friend that her son was in ICU. He was one of the drivers. So prayers for everybody. Who else has announcement or comments to make? Okay, tomorrow, May the 12th is the last day to submit applications for places on the ballot for the May 1st general election. So, hey guys, if anybody's out there, now is the time to sign up. And again, it has to be Friday because our city offices will be closed Monday in observance of President's Day. And the next regular council meeting will be February the 25th. And hopefully it will be warmer. So we can only hope. But we are here tonight and we are ready to get going. Do we have public speakers in-house? Shannon, is there anybody in-house that's supposed to speak?
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 speakers listed. The first speaker up is Deborah Beecraft. Deborah, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. I'm Deborah Beecraft. I live at 360 West 2nd, and I would like to speak about the flag retirement box in the pavilion at the Veterans Park. Sometime last year, the council voted on making that weatherproof, doing something to protect that box, and nothing has been done yet. I noticed that the park board is going to be asking tonight, for their master plan approval from the council and which order to put the new parks in. But before they start spending money on new parks, I think we should take care of what we have already voted on to take care of. And with this cold weather, I've been up there after it rained, and that box is getting wet, even though it is in the center. And so it will not last very long if we do not do something to get it out of the weather. So I'm hoping that, you know, the council can figure out something, or the park board, to get that taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up is Michelle Pittman DeCredico. Michelle, when you're ready, please. Michelle, are you available? Michelle? Okay, it looks like
she's currently on mute.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I do have a third speaker. If Mayor, if you're okay, I'll go to the third and then come back. Okay, Kathy Coffee. Kathy, when you're ready, please.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Coffey, and I live at 1102 Mount Lane. There's a lot of work to do for Rome and not much time to get some of the things done. A good foundation of proper procedures has been laid with our last mayor, Michelle DeCredico, and council. Let's please continue to build on that. Social media can be a great tool for information, and it can also be used to belittle, bully, and slant the truth to fit one individual or a group's opinion. Please remember when you're posting about someone to take into consideration that their family and children are able to see this. Anyone who would post something about someone that could hurt their child, in my opinion, is the lowest of the low. Rome is going to grow whether anyone likes it or not. From this meeting forward, can we please make citizen presentations about suggestions or ask questions to help our city grow the way we want it to? Keep social media as a tool of information without the name calling, half truths, and posting comments out of context. Let's do our due diligence and follow the proper procedures and do what is best for Rome and its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Michelle, are you with us now? Michelle? Not sure if she's having difficulties or not.
Well, let's move on to the next one. If Michelle becomes available, she can let us know.
Okay, then I don't have any more.
Okay, guys, we are going now to the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the City Council regular sessions dated January the 14th, 2021, January the 20th, 21, January the 18th, 2021, and resolutions authorizing continued participation with Atmospheric City Steering Committee. Do I hear a motion that we accept all of these? Okay, Sam's got his hand up. So I have a motion from Sam. Do I have a second? Josh has got two fingers up, so he's the second. Okay, now let's call for a vote of these. We're going to call in. I've lost my little piece of paper that has who's on first. The thing, okay. Who is number one? Who is council person number one?
That's Josh McCabe. I vote aye.
Okay, and council person number two?
Aye.
Council person number three?
Aye.
And council person number four?
Sam Eason, aye.
And council person number five? Ashley, is that you? I think you're on mute. Okay. So the consent agenda is approved as submitted. Now we're going to go to the monthly staff reports and board minutes. Before we start, I'm
Mayor,
sorry.
we've got police and fire on tonight that wanted to introduce some new members. If you wanted to call on each of them to introduce their new members.
Okay, is Fire Chief online?
Yes, Mayor, Fire Chief's online.
Okay, you have somebody you want to introduce and tell us about?
Yes, my name is Daryl Fitch. I'm the Rhome Fire Chief. On behalf of the Rhome Fire Rescue, we'd like to congratulate and welcome 2 new members, Paul Szymanski and Ryan Yale, on completing their probationary period and all their requirements for probation. Unfortunately, they were unable to make it tonight on the council meeting, but we would like to congratulate them. And when they do come around, I'll be glad to introduce them to you in person.
That would be good. Tell them we appreciate their service and their ability to stick through your training programs. So we do appreciate their efforts. Okay, Police Chief Love, do you have anything?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to introduce our new part-time officer, Jet Click. And I'm going to let him tell you about himself.
Hello, Officer Click. New to law enforcement, but I've been working in EMS for the past 10 years. Most currently here in Wise County in Boyd for the last 4. Have a little girl, 3 years old, and married, and I'll look forward to serving the citizens of Rhome.
And we are thankful you're with us, so thank you much. Also, while we have Chief Love on the phone, I need to tell y'all guys about what happened recently. Congratulations and thanks to Officer Fitzgerald. Recently, he pulled a vehicle over for a routine traffic violation. Inside that vehicle were several illegal aliens and, of course, their driver. Chief, how many were in there?
There were 10, and then the driver.
So it was a packed thing, but he pulled the car over for a routine traffic violation. Rhome PD worked with immigration, who ultimately picked up all of them, including the driver. Again, thanks for a job well done by the Rhome Police Department. Chief, keep up the good work and tell Officer Fitzgerald we are proud of him.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Now then, we are back to the monthly staff reports. Does anybody have anything they would like to pull off? Okay, so we've done fire and PD. There is no vote required. So Shannon has done a good job of supplying us with all the minutes and all the good stuff. So we are now ready to move into our regular session, old business. H, update, discussion, and any necessary action regarding developments for COVID-19 and mitigation efforts and actions within the city. City Administrator, can you handle that one?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. You attend the meetings as well, but there is a bi-weekly meeting with county leaders on COVID updates and the latest happenings. And we do have, we're thankful for our county leaders that are working to get vaccines for Wise County. We may not be a vaccine hub, but they are working on getting vaccines here in Wise County, and there should be information coming out on that soon. As you know, Mayor, the governor extended the disaster declaration another 30 days. This has been ongoing since last March. This allows the allows for the virtual meetings and reducing that the in-person meetings to help reduce the spread of COVID. We do also have under this agenda item, council member Majors had asked for an item on the agenda, and we went ahead and put it on this under this topic, and this is the topic of the office hours at the city hall. Right now they are 8 to 2 for the lobby hours. Of course, we're there 8 to 5. Phones are answered from 8 to 4. This allows our members to take care of business and get things done between 4 and 5. I think she's got some concerns about the actual office hours in the lobby hours. So I will let her talk about that. I will provide some background information. One of the reasons why we went to the 8 to 2 lobby hours was in order to provide for social distancing with anything that citizens might need to meet with staff about. And this would provide the lobby hours from 2 to 4 dedicated for those meetings, whether they were open records meetings to view information, or in this right now with members, people filing for places on the agenda, and maybe they need to speak with the city secretary. So anything like that, that is really kind of the idea, because right now, as most people know by now, we only allow one person in the lobby at a time. And so that was the business function for the 8 to 2 hours for the lobby. But I understand if there's concern about that, I will let Ashley Majors, council member, speak to that.
Ashley, you're on mute.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I was gone. Okay. Are we going to, about me speaking to extending the hours in the city hall from 2 to 4? Is that what you were speaking about, Cynthia?
Yes, I think that's what you had mentioned that you were interested in.
Yes, ma'am. What I am referring to is multiple reasons I have been up there to the city hall at 2 o'clock, and I have seen residents come in and try to drop things off and want to get it, pick things up, and they walk away because they are wanting to go in and pick something up, and it is unfair. It's unfair to the residents. I mean, we are here as a community, and it's the 2 hours. I mean, to close we're here as running a business and for the citizens, and for 2 hours from 2 to 4, it's unfair. It's unfair for the citizens. So I think that we should keep the office hours open for the residents, and instead of just closing at 2 p.m. Instead of 4 p.m. is what I believe that we should do, and for the residents, because it's unfair. It's unfair for the citizens of Rome. So if there's something that you and the mayor can discuss, and as well is that we could help vote on to see what we would think about. Sorry, I'm frozen. But if we can make a decision to change the hours from to change it, just closing the office at 4 o'clock, and from keeping it from 8 to 4.
Well, we're certainly, council member, I appreciate that. And I understand you're wanting to increase the access for the citizens. And so we're certainly open to that. As I stated earlier, there has been a reason why we have recommended the 8 to 2. But you know, council, we're open to what you would like us to do. So please let us know what your preferences are. If you would like us to stay open till 1, till 4, excuse me, we can do that.
Do we have any?
Motion you're making?
No, we're just right now. We're just discussion. Michelle Ty has her hand up. Michelle.
I understand the idea behind opening it up to 4 because some people work and they can't get to it at 2. Are there alternative ways for people that don't pay by credit card or pay over the phone or need to go into the office? Are there alternative ways for them to get their business done after 2?
Well, actually, by appointment, we're always there. So if a citizen is saying, hey, we might be here at this time and they need to do something, certainly we can do that. We do have a mail drop for utility bills. We are really trying to promote and advertise more the ability to pay via bank draft and online. So that's certainly an option. But if somebody is needing something, I know I meet with people after 2 o'clock, normally, as I've said before, over at the community center. But if somebody is coming in for a quick something or other, certainly staff is always there. The city secretary has been available. I know court has been available, so we're always available if someone were to actually request that. So again, we're open. The reason, again, COVID is real and we're trying to make accommodations. Unfortunately, we do have a small foyer. And so there have been times when I've been out in the foyer or someone else has been out in the foyer talking with a citizen and somebody's wanting to come in and they've got to wait. So if somebody's wanting to look at an open records thing and they're in there, that can take some time. And somebody that is outside would have to wait. So, I mean, really, we don't have, we're just trying to be as accessible as we can and be as safe and promote safety and health of our residents here in Rome. So whatever the council decides is fine with us.
Anybody else with a comment relative to the open time, close time, and all that good stuff for the Rome City Hall? And I don't think we're here tonight to come to a decision. We could, but Cynthia has presented, Ashley has presented, and Michelle Ty has hit on some good points. So is there no one else that cares to talk about the hours?
I mean, I would like to see if we could vote, if we could possibly see if we could extend the hours to close at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock to help the residents, because I've been up there multiple times just to pick something up and I see them walk away because they cannot walk in to drop something off or to speak with someone. So it's, I mean, we're here for the citizens. I mean, so.
Are you making a motion, Ashley?
No, I would just like to see if later on, if.
Okay, does anyone want to make a motion or do we want to just bring this back next month? Sam?
Unless we have a motion, let's move on.
That's what we're trying to do, but I saw your hand up. I apologize. I hope it hadn't been up long. Okay, so we're going to, there is no motion.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I have been advised that Michelle DeCredico is here right now. and it would like to do her public presentation.
Okay, let's talk to Michelle before we go to new business. So Michelle, are you there somewhere?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Michelle DeCredico. I live on Cheyenne Trail North in Rome. My opinions are my own personal expression of free speech and in no way reflect the official position of any office or organization that I'm associated with. Regarding agenda item O, clarification of section 38 sign regulation, subsection E.8.b political signs. In the last election and campaign season for the city of Rome in 2020, and while I was mayor of the city at the time, the subject of this exact ordinance came up from one of the candidates in the election. The ordinance specifically states that a political sign may be erected no sooner than the 30th day before the election and should be removed no later than the 7th day after the election. The question came up from one of the candidates in the election who was challenging the interpretation of the ordinance. This candidate expressed a belief that the ordinance meant 30 days before early voting, while the ordinance reads the 30th day before the election. This candidate also made a claim that it had been the 30th day before early voting in previous elections, which they had participated. I scratched my head at this comment when city staff asked me about it. As someone who had been involved with the city election since 2011, I'd never seen that position taken by the city, so it was curious to me why during an election with the early voting extended due to the pandemic that a candidate in the election seemed to be trying to use broad, incorrect interpretation of that city ordinance. I find it odd that a potential elected official would want to find a way to interpret a city ordinance which could potentially benefit them in an election. I hope this is not the discussion that City Council will hear tonight. I did not create the ordinance, but I believe that the ordinance was probably created to help limit the amount of time the citizens were subject to local political antics and drama. 30 days seems plenty of time for citizens to hear from the candidates, as well as dot the landscape of this small community with their signs. According to TML, a city's purpose for such regulation usually involves protecting the appearance or aesthetics of the city, which helps with property values or improving traffic safety. With the push from some of the members on the city council to clean up the town, it is curious that anyone would want to extend the time that these political signs are up and cluttering our landscape. I support the ordinance as it is written, which says 30 days before the election. I do not support those who want to clutter our town by changing the ordinance to be 30 days from early voting. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we'll discuss that more when we get to that part of the actual business. So Carmen, we're moving into new business and it's relative to rolling B.
Excuse me.
Mayor, I believe you skipped an agenda item.
I'm sorry, Josh, can't hear you.
I believe you skipped agenda item I.
No, we're going back to item I. And we will not discuss the sign ordinance until we get to that part actually on the agenda.
Item I is not about political signs. It's about the current city hall lease.
And no, item I is about rolling B.
No.
Item J
I'm
is
sorry,
about
you're
rolling
right,
B.
Josh. The J looks like an I to me, so bring my glasses to the next meeting. And because I'm sorry, I did skip that. So discussion and any necessary action regarding possible extension of current city hall lease. And Josh wants to speak to that.
Thank you. So I know over the last few months, we've been discussing our priorities in buildings and funding. And I believe our two top priorities right now are the police department and the fire department. And the reason why we asked Cynthia to look into the information on the lease is that way we could clear out one of the things that we need to look at, which was City Hall. So I think if we can discuss and possibly extend the lease on the current City Hall, that at least gives us a City Hall for however long we determine, then we can focus our efforts on redoing the police department and the fire department. So that's why I wanted to bring that up to see if we want to discuss that. If we do discuss it, I just want to point out that if we start discussing monetary values, negotiation tactics, that we would need to take that to executive session. So
Right, and I think Cynthia is in the process of getting some information to go ahead with all that. Sam, you had your hand up.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It was just to address the last point that Josh made. I didn't want him to go any further without our retiring to executive session.
And yes, to your point as
You're
well,
wanting-
Mayor, Cynthia brought information to us at the last meeting or two about the owners are willing to extend, and she did bring up a couple of numbers. I think at this point now we need to discuss and authorize Cynthia to move forward with that, but we do need to discuss what we're looking at, whether it's 2-5-year lease, what kind of money are we looking at? So I think that part we would need to go to executive session so we can advise her on what we're looking for.
And we do have that right, Josh, as you well know. And once we get to the end of all this good stuff, we can then go into executive session and discuss this if that meets with your approval.
If everybody else is willing to wait until the end, that's fine. So.
Mayor,
Okay,
this
well,
is Carvin. If you want to go into executive session now, you can just for that point, but it's up to you guys how y'all want to handle it. Y'all can go in and out of executive session however you want to.
and I realize that, but we have a small problem. We don't have a phone number for executive session. Cynthia, how do we do that?
You were, the city secretary forwarded you information on that for the council members, and that's the only, as you well know, those are the only people that would need to be there. So that was provided to you via email. Ms. Montgomery, I don't know.
It was this afternoon with the speakers list.
At 4:05.
Okay.
Okay, and I will say I have not looked at the email on the thing. Now, Shannon was nice enough to run me copies of everything. I'll look on my city phone and pull up the email, but we cannot give that number out. Am I correct? Am I the only one that doesn't have the number? Does everybody else have it?
Did you get the email?
I just found it on my phone.
Okay, well, that's all you need.
I know that's all I need, but does everybody else have a number to call in on? Am I the only one that does not? So everybody else has a number. Okay, let's still leave it at the end because we've got a lot of people that probably don't want to stay on the line forever, and it's getting colder and colder as we go along. So let's wait and do it at the end, and then we'll move on to, okay, guys, help me. I'm lost down to I. Carvin, I was going to ask you, no, it's J. I got to get new glasses. I have an appointment, so trust me. Do we have to read every plat on this, or can we just say phase 1?
On that on item J, you don't have to read any of that at all. It's posted and you can proceed.
Okay, we have discussion and any necessary action regarding a proposed final plat for Rolling V Ranch East, phase 1, and then where this is posted, there are 6 or 7 lines of numbers that would probably mean nothing to any of us, but if you want to look at it, it's there. Sam, yes. Sam?
Thank you very much. First question I have is for our attorney, Mr. Adkins. The map showing the final plat of the various phases and lots, and the map showing the phases and lots from the preliminary do not match. The number of lots is different, and it appears as if maybe some of the lots are of different size. Is there anything requiring that the final plat and the preliminary plat match?
I would think they should be the same, Carvin, shouldn't they?
No.
Well, has it been presented to P&Z? P&Z's already voted on this, haven't they?
Can I interject? this came up at P&Z, and this question was raised, and we do have the engineer here. Kyle, are you here? This is somewhat common, and it still meets the development agreement. So everything is still in compliance with the development agreement. And what happened, and I'll let Kyle talk to the fact that it is common, but if you look at the plat, there are some plats that go along that were fronting an easement towards the bottom of phase one, and they went ahead and included those in the final plat. So Kyle, are you on, and do you want to speak to that?
Before we get into that though, Cynthia, I'd like to have Carvin answer my question about the legality of doing that.
Okay, fair enough.
It is legal and it is common for the final plat to differ from what is originally submitted. And it can be changed by city request, it can be changed by the applicant's request, it can be changed by P&Z making a request that it be changed. So what you have before you is the quote final plat that should incorporate any amendments or changes that have been suggested along the way. And so yes, that is legal, that it would be different from what was submitted as the quote preliminary plat.
Thank you. Cynthia, has staff reviewed this, and does it meet all the requirements necessary in the ordinances?
Yes.
Then based upon this being a ministerial duty, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this final plat as is.
Do I hear a second? Okay, I've got Michelle Ty and Josh McKay both as a second. So Shannon,
Mayor?
you comment. Yes.
I did want to just make mention of the fact that the Mayor Pro Tem Priest has recused herself from this conversation.
Okay, that's because of her physical location next to this, or?
It's out of an abundance of caution. She's actually
Okay.
not within the 200 feet, but it's out of an abundance of caution on her behalf.
Okay. So I have a motion and I have 2 seconds, and we have Ms. Priest, our Mayor Pro Tem, that has recused herself. So now I would like to call for a vote. And again, I've lost my little piece of paper, so I'm going to go by the, when you identify yourself, say your place. Who is number
Josh,
one?
you go first.
Thank you, Sam. Josh McKay, place 1, aye.
And place 2,
Michelle Ty, place 2, aye.
place 3.
She's recused.
That's Elaine, I believe. Yes, she recused herself. Place 4
Sam Eason, place 4, aye.
and place 5.
Ashley Majors, aye.
So it's unanimous. We'll go with the plat and information we have under J. Thank you, guys.
Mayor, just to make it easier on you, next time you can ask the city secretary to call the roll for you.
Okay. Hey, Shannon, I'll ask for your help. Okay, K is discussion and any necessary action regarding the adoption of a City of Rome citizen presentation plan for the Texas Community Development Block Grant application. City Administrator, you're tagged.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. As a part of the process of applying for this grant, we need to publicize our public participation plan. We do have Lenore that is here with Grant Works that will explain, and you do have information in your packet about what that is, and primarily it's just making sure that that information is out there on how to get information, how to file complaints, making sure that it is accessible to all, so it is in Spanish as well. Just as a point of information, I am in the process of creating a web a page on our website with the grant information. So that information should be populated hopefully by Monday. Hope to work on that this weekend. And Lenore Hellman, I see you online. Thank you for being here tonight. If you want to provide the council with additional information on what that actual public participation plan looks like, it's not what you would typically think of, but it checks the box for what is needed for these types of grants.
Certainly. Thank you, Cynthia. You did a great job giving a synopsis over this. So the Citizens Participation Plan is a HUD or a Housing Urban Development requirement that essentially protects your citizens and gives them access to, if they don't have English as their main language, rights to be able to get English translated documents regarding to any activities that are CDBG funded. This doesn't go across the board, and it also allows citizens to know their grievance or complaint process through the city, again, related to CDBG funds and their activities. And it also outlines public hearing provisions. This is a HUD provided document that goes over that.
Do we have anyone that has any questions for Cynthia?
So Cynthia, is this just a document that goes, it's part of what we need to do for the grant and we're just getting citizen involvement? Correct?
Yes, it's just that you guys adopted and you understand that, and we're publicizing it. This is another opportunity to let the public know that they can contact us and get information. As I said, we will be putting some of this information on our page specifically for this grant, so they will have that. They can also contact us, but yes, it's just making sure they have that information, council member.
So you're just looking for a motion to approve this?
Correct, thank you.
You've got it. Motion to approve.
And do we have a second? Elaine is back with us and she says she seconds the motion. Do we have any more discussion? Okay, then we're going to call for a vote. Shannon, help me out here. Call the right numbers and names.
Yes, ma'am. Place 1, Councilmember McCabe.
Aye.
Place 2, Councilmember Ty.
Aye.
Place 3, Mayor Pro Tem Priest.
Aye.
Thank you. Place 4, Councilmember Eason.
Aye.
Thank you. Place 5, Councilmember Majors.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, and so we'll move along, and we do appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, everyone, and be safe out there.
Yes, Okay, we're going to move on now to item L, which is a discussion and any necessary action regarding the Parks and Recreation Board recommendations of the Parks Master Plan. And Sean, this shows you are the speaker.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. On January 7th, the Park Board held a meeting to discuss the UTA Park Master Plan at the request of the City Council. And after careful review and discussion of the Master Plan, the Park Board voted to recommend the Council to accept the UTA Master Plan as is, and also recommends the City Council to approve potential park number 6 of Bywell Estates as the first park to be developed in the master plan. A little information on the potential park number 6 that is in Bywell Estates. It is located in Bywell Estates, a neighborhood along Alliance Boulevard. It is approximately 1.2 acres, and it will be considered a neighborhood park. And in your packets, it kind of shows the for your Cynthia, I don't know if you have it, but in the packet it does show the concept proposal of the park and potential amenities of the park. And the decision from the Park Board is that Right now, we do have a neighborhood park in the Old Town Rome area, and the other proposal parks that are outside in near Ellis will have to take consideration of working with the school, and so this will allow a part of the city that doesn't have any really city amenities to give their first amenities in that part of town. So the park board is just asking the council to recommend the approval of the park master plan as is, and approve the potential park number 6 in Bywell Estates as the first park be developed within the plan.
Okay, wait, Sean, just a minute. We have a question from Josh McKay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Sean, thank you for that. So if approved, what are the next few steps that the Park and Recs Board is going to be taking to implement all of this?
One of the things we'll be having a meeting coming in March to start discussing that, but probably the first thing is how to acquire funding, and that could be the same way with working with a grant company to apply for Parks and Rec grant through the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and search other funding mechanisms to help fund this park. But that was going to be our next discussion in our next park board meeting on how we're going to acquire funding.
And do we know approximately how much funding?
The estimated, I had that written down where I do my paperwork. Give me a second. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. I can relate. I'm having trouble to that.
Yes. I grabbed my paperwork off my desk and I might have left that one. I can get that funding to y'all. Hold on. Right now it's estimated about $460,000.
Okay. And this is to be park, in essence, the first park.
Yes, the first park.
Okay.
Well, one thing.
And it can be done in phases. And so that is like the cost of the ultimate build out. And so again, we're not, we might not get that. And so these parks can be built in phases as way we, when we get funding through different funding sources. And so I know it's a kind of a sticker shock, but again, it doesn't have to be all built at once. We can do phase work in any park that we develop.
Okay, I've got Ashley with her hand up. Councilman Majors.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, should Josh and Sam recuse themselves on any of the parks since their spouse and girlfriend that he lives with are part of the Parks and Rec?
And I asked a question.
Would Carvin would.
My opinion is that is not legally required under either ordinance or statute.
All right. Well, thank you so much for answering that.
Anybody else? So we're not taking action per se tonight.
I thought we were taking action to accept the master plan.
Yes. Yes, the park board is requesting that the council accepts the master plan as is and approves that potential park number 6 in Bywell Estates will be the first park developed.
Well,
I make a motion to that effect.
Okay, and I guess I need to ask, is that what is presented by the master plan, or is there a sequencing? Are we just looking at, let's do all of them, or are we agreeing to the sequencing?
Well,
There's different. Oh, go ahead, Cynthia. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I am going to show a slide here in a second, but one thing I would say with any plan that we have, whether it's a water plan, a wastewater master plan, it's always going to be stuff. It's a guideline. and it's always going to be subject to, any given priority order. It's going to be subject to available funding. I know the Parks Board has discussed, and I don't know if Tommy's on the line and if she wants to, further elucidate on this or not, but, depending on, you might modify the design depending on available funding, things like that. So they are recommending adoption, but recognizing that there's different, situations that might occur that it's not exact, right? So when you adopt it, that doesn't mean you have to develop it exactly as the conceptual plan lays out in the Parks Master Plan. These are recommendations, but they're always subject to available funding and, park boards, recommendations. So I think that that's an important thing to note. I do have, and I will share my screen here in a minute. Let me try to pull that up.
Cynthia?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much for explaining what a plan is, but I've made a motion and I'm waiting to get a second.
Okay.
Does anyone have a second to Sam's motion to accept the plan? And Michelle Ty is saying yes. Anybody else with any comments?
So I just have one question. This is Elaine.
Okay.
So will there be a second motion then on making the park the first priority in Bywell?
That was part of the original motion, Elaine, was to accept the plan and the recommendation that we do Bywell first.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted clarification. Thank you.
And do we have a second? Elaine is now seconding it. Okay. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, Mayor. Councilmember Ty already seconded before Councilmember Priest had a question.
Well, Elaine will be glad to withdraw her. So we have Sam's as a motion. We have Michelle Ty as a second. Now we're going to move to a vote. Shannon,
I
would you
think
please?
before we vote that Cynthia had some information she was going to share, since we can allow for more discussion.
Okay, have you found your stuff, Cynthia?
Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to share the screen, but the way that it is on there is not showing up very well. I just wanted to share the priority order. The Parks Master Plan presented different priorities according to different conditions. And so again, I just wanted to emphasize that it is a plan and it can be changed by the council, by the Parks Board, according to the available funding and the current conditions in what's going on. So that's all I wanted to share. I was going to try to show that slide, but it was if you guys saw that, it was kind of small, so it wasn't showing up very well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now shall we call for a vote?
Yes, ma'am. Place 1, Councilmember McCabe.
Aye.
Place 2, Councilmember Ty.
Aye.
Thank you. And place 3, Mayor Pro Tem Priest.
Aye.
Thank you. Place 4, Councilmember Eason.
Aye.
Thank you. Place 5, Councilmember Majors.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Okay, so the plan as such has been accepted. It will be subject to tweaking, if you will, as we go along. But if so, we'll come back to the council. Okay, let's move on now to item M as in Mary. Discussion and any necessary action regarding amending section 1.02.011 recording of minutes of city council, commissions, committees of the city's code of ordinances. Shannon, this is your item.
Mayor, Councilmember Eason requested this be brought back because he would like to have the meetings permanently recorded from now on, since we started doing that during virtual, and then he wanted a plan in place when we went back into in-person meetings. So this is bringing back the ordinance to say that we will continue video recording the meetings once we go back to in-person. And the only thing that I had left blank on the ordinance was we needed to decide on a retention schedule. The Texas State Library recommends to hold it for 90 days after approval of the written minutes. However, the city can keep it longer than that. We just can't go anything below the 90 days that's recommended by the Texas State Library.
Sam?
And I agree with the change that Shannon just mentioned of retaining it for 90 days after acceptance of the written minutes, so that we have the recording, it is published, and we don't have to retain it, or we will not retain it after 90 days of acceptance of the written minutes.
Do I hear any discussion before we take a vote? So all council meeting minutes will be retained for 90 days, but they will still be on video. Shannon, do I understand that?
The written minutes are permanent. Councilmember Eason is requesting that we keep the video for the Texas State Library recommendation of 90 days past approval of the written minutes.
Yes, so that is my motion, that we video all of our meetings. I would like to video the P&Z meetings and the park board meetings and retain them for 90 days past the acceptance of the written minutes.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, Shannon, call for a vote. Wait, I'm sorry, who? Josh, yes, sir. Are you just
I'm seconding
seconding it?
Sam's motion.
Okay. Anybody with any discussion before we vote? Shannon, please call the roll.
Place 1, Councilmember McCabe.
Aye.
Place 2, Councilmember Ty.
Aye.
Place 3, Mayor Pro Tem Priest.
Aye.
Place 4, Councilmember Eason.
Aye.
Place 5, Councilmember Majors.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so now we're going to move from item M to item N, is in Nancy. Discussion and any necessary action regarding calling the May 1 election for 2-year terms for council member place 1, place 2, and place 3, authorizing the city administrator to sign a joint contract with Wise County for election services and setting meeting date to canvass the election. Shannon, this shows you as action.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is our ordinance to call the general election for May 1, 2021. And as of today, we will have contested races, so we do need to call the election. And this is just, we are anticipating joining in with the Wise County for election services, just like we did in the November election. And once they have the agreement ready, they don't have it ready yet because they're waiting to see how many cities and entities are going to be joining once the deadline passes tomorrow. But they will be conducting our election services, and I will be working with them to conduct the entire election. And once the agreement comes back from Wise County, we need to authorize the city administrator to go ahead and approve that.
Okay, and am I hearing that wherever the county has the elections, that's where Rhome will go, or will we get our own location?
We are requesting to be used at the community center. As in the November election, we had to use the county polling places because it was a county held election. But in May, it's a little bit different. So we are requesting a location in Rhome, which would be our community center.
So this appears we just discuss it and take necessary action, but we
Yes.
do not. No.
Our
And
community center is not ADA compliant. Is it still eligible to be used?
it's been deemed eligible since the last election we had there. I can ask the county to come back out, but they did look at it, and we have the handicap parking. And when you open the 2 doors to go into the community center, it is accessible for wheelchairs. And we will have ADA compliant election booth, the one that's shorter, that accommodates people that are sitting. And I do want to point out, we do need to take 2 different steps on this. We need to approve the ordinance, and then also our canvassing period ends on May 12th, and our regular scheduled meeting in May is May 13th. So I didn't know if you wanted to have 2 meetings, one to canvass and then our regular meeting on the 13th, or if you wanted to combine those into 1 meeting on the 12th. I would like to wait till the end of the canvassing period to give time to receive all the oversee ballots, and then for the voting ballot board can meet, and we wouldn't have to rush or reschedule if the county is not ready to give us our results.
You're looking for a motion, Shannon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I believe the first motion you're looking for is to engage with the county to do the election for us.
It's to approve the election ordinance, which would be ordinance, the one that's in the packet, which would proposed ordinance 2021-04.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we approve that ordinance.
Thank you.
And someone like to second that?
I'll second.
Michelle and Elaine both seconded together. So Shannon, you call it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going for a vote, and Councilman 1, Josh McCabe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Ty, place 2.
Aye.
Councilman 3, Mayor Pro Tem Priest.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, not Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Eason, place 4.
Aye.
And Councilman Majors, place 5.
Aye.
So it carries unanimously. Do we need anything else to agree on, Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to try to schedule our canvassing meeting for May. I mean, we can wait, but if it was all together, if we could go ahead and get that scheduled so I can make sure that it's posted.
So let me ask you something, Shannon. Would it just be easier if we made a motion to move the May 13th meeting to Wednesday, May 12th?
Yes, that would be easier for you, so you wouldn't have to have 2 meetings. However, the meeting to canvass the election only needs 2 members. So if you did want to have a 5-minute meeting on May 12th and have the regular on the 13th, that's fine too. Whatever fits your schedules is the best.
Well, just to allow discussion get to the discussion point, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we move the meeting from May 13th, Thursday, May 13th to Wednesday, May 12th, to facilitate the canvassing and just holding that regular first meeting of May.
And that we would do the canvassing at the same time?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, Sam has made a motion that we back up till May the 12th to have a council meeting that would also involve reviewing the votes, canvassing the votes, if you will, and then proceed into a regular council meeting. Before we get into the voting, I saw Councilman Major's hand up. Yes, Ashley.
Sorry, Josh second before me. So
Oh, okay, Josh.
Josh second.
Yes,
Okay, so you were seconding. Okay,
Yeah, Josh second.
Does any of you guys have any discussion before we vote on this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going for a vote. Councilman 1, Josh McCabe.
Aye.
Councilman 2, Michelle Ty.
Aye.
And Councilman 3, Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Priest.
Aye.
And Councilman Eason, place 4.
Aye.
And Councilman Majors, place 5.
Aye.
So it was unanimous, and we will come a day early, come May, and we'll stay maybe a little longer because we'll also be canvassing votes. Okay, we're
Thank
going to
you,
move.
Council.
All right, we're going to move on to
Agenda item O.
oh, yes. And item O is discussion and necessary action regarding clarification of section 38 sign regulations, subsection E8B political signs. And that one is for clarification. Every year there is different readings on what is considered an election. Is it the first day of early voting, or does it come later on? I guess basically I'm saying I could care less, but we use the term the start of the election where you go to your media stories and they're all over the place. They consider early voting date to be the same thing as the election is beginning. Others will call that early voting and say that actual election itself is not that day. I'm just asking for what in the hay do we care or want?
How about we ask the attorney what his interpretation is?
Do what?
Let's ask the attorney what the legal interpretation is.
Okay. Carmen, they're throwing it back to you.
My interpretation of that provision of the ordinance is that the election refers to the actual date the election is held on. So you would
Not
count
to
your
early
30 days back from that date.
And I guess what I am requesting on this is that what Carmen is saying, if that's the way we're going, let's maybe just add the word actual election, or I don't know, some way that there's not argument about one or two places. Cynthia, you take care of it. Make it good if that's what the council wants, if we want to go on with Carvin. And I don't think it's presented any problems within the city. It's just finger pointing that has come up. So we can take care of that by rewording the ordinance or adding to the wording of the ordinance.
Should
Josh?
we say before election day?
Yeah, whatever reads without any argument. Josh, you had a question?
Yeah, I had a question for Carvin. So this pertains to political signs, correct? What about Facebook campaigning, door to door, anything like that? Is this just political signs, just 30 days before?
Just political signs.
That's
Okay.
correct. This only regulates signs.
Now, is this just city signs, say, I don't know, back to blue signs, or presidential flags from a garage that are in support of a presidential participant, or any other thing? Because those are campaign signs, I guess some people could say.
What I think I hear is it's any political sign. You know, if you're running for dog catcher and they're going to have an election, it's a political sign. You wait until 30 days before election day. Does anybody else have a different opinion?
I was looking for our lawyer's interpretation on that. See what
No,
city stance is.
I would agree with the mayor's statement on that. It would involve elections to city offices, state city offices, county offices, other signs that are not advocating for a particular candidate would probably fall under First Amendment protections. So we would not be regulating them as political signs. But if it's an active election endorsing a candidate, that would be a political sign, and it would fall under this provision.
Mayor, this is Sam Love. Can I ask a question?
Surely.
Is this ordinance going to include your federal elections, president, governor, and state governor, and Congress and Senate and all that? We've had that question come up in the past.
Chief, I would interpret it the same way. Again, if it's an election for an office that one of our citizens would have a right to vote in, then I would interpret that as being a political sign and covered by this ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm going to ask another question, Carvin. So for campaign signs, it has to have that little blurb down there that so-and-so paid for that. Is that not needed to make it a political sign? So if it's not on a flag, does that not make it a campaign sign if it does not have that blurb on there?
No, I believe it can still be a political sign. It just may not be one in compliance with state law. So, but it would still be a political sign that we could regulate under our sign ordinance, but it's not complying with state law.
Okay.
But if someone wanted to fly, say, a Trump 2020 flag, that does not constitute a political sign?
I don't think flags have been held to be signs, and I think they're protected under the First Amendment. So if it's a flag, that's likely not going to be determined to be a political sign.
So if I had a flag that said, elect Sam Eason, no, I'm just, these things are going to come up, because believe me, somebody's going to say, I want my sign up before 30 days. And they're going to say, if it can be a flag, then I'll make a flag and fly it. So I just want to be clear.
I'm going to have to defer to that one to the actual event, Sam, but I believe I'm going to likely consider it a sign, but it's going to depend on the actual circumstances of that event. I mean, where it is, how it's posted, how it's displayed, and what it says. But as you well know, First Amendment is going to trump our sign ordinance, and we don't want to, be vulnerable to lawsuits over something like that. So we'll be very cautious.
Councilman Majors.
I think it just goes back to where when the race prior to Sam and I, when we are wanting to put out our signs 30 days prior to the election. I mean, we couldn't put our signs out long enough. So I think to the election coming up, Joanne's just asking for the extension. So for our ordinance, and I can't open it up to read it out for everyone. So Sam, I know you would like to have the signs out longer, so. But
well, actually, just the opposite, Ashley. I'd like to find some way to make the campaigning shorter, because I just look at a presidential campaign and I think it's a nightmare that they go through. And I would love to say you can't even declare for an office until a week before the election, so that you only have 1 week of campaigning. Let's make it easier on everyone. That would be my preference.
Yes, sir.
So no, I don't want it longer.
Okay.
The courts have grappled with this issue a lot, and basically it's going to come down to a reasonableness test. And I think 30 days meets that test. So I think we're in good shape. I think our ordinance is defensible as currently drafted.
Do you think we need to clarify the election, or do you think that stands on its own?
As of tonight, I think it stands on its own. Certainly, if you would like me to look at it, I'll take a look at it and see if I can make it any clearer. But I'm pretty comfortable with what it says.
I think it's the reason Joanne's bringing it up is because the people that vote early only are able to see the signs just for a week. So I think that's the whole reason why. If we can get an extension on it.
Well, and either that or just be clear, you can't put them up before 30 days before early election. It's got to be the actual general election. And I think and I can't find my copy of the ordinance as such, I kind of think one word would clarify everything in there.
Well, Mayor,
Right.
I would agree, and Carver, I appreciate your offer, but I mean, it's really, if the council is wanting to leave it as is and leave it 30 days before the election day, we can add day, and that will clarify it, so it's election day and not early voting. If the council wants it to be 30 days before early voting, we would change those two words. So it's really up to the council. If you want it election day, let us know. If you want, we'll add the word day in there. If you want it before 30 days before early voting, we'll change the word election to early voting.
Do I hear a motion one way or the other? Elaine?
I make a motion that we add the word day. Let's leave it as it is. It's been working that way a long time.
And do I hear a second to Elaine's motion? Sam is seconding it.
Second, yes.
Any other discussion before we vote? Okay, Councilman number 1, Josh McCabe.
Aye.
Councilman number 2, Michelle Ty.
Aye.
Councilman number 3, Mayor Pro Tem Priest.
Aye.
And Councilman Sam Eason, place 4.
Aye.
And Councilman Majors,
Nay.
place 5. Okay, it's going to pass, but it's 4-1. So we will move on then to the next concern that we may have. Okay, we're at M and we're moving on.
Item P, as in Paul.
Well, if I can find item P, we will go for it. My pages are scattered. Shannon, can you read item P?
Yes, ma'am. Discussion and any necessary action regarding including Mayor Pro Tem in all city negotiations.
Okay, this was placed on the agenda by Councilman Place 5, Sam Eason, to include the Mayor Pro Tem in all city negotiations. This unusual request is, in my opinion, is not necessary and is not needed. I believe this to be in conflict with Ordinance 1.03.002, Powers and Duties of the Mayor. Also, I think all of you know, I informed the city administrator some time ago that I would be present at any negotiations. If I am not available for some reason, then by right it would fall to Elaine as the current Mayor Pro Tem. But also keep in mind that a new Mayor Pro Tem will be selected by the council in May, less than 3 months from now. This may or may not result in a different person. So that's my 2 cents worth. Do I hear discussion or a motion?
Well, since I was the one that put it on there, I will go ahead and make the motion. We can have discussion, or maybe it dies for lack of a second. I'd like to make a motion that we include the Mayor Pro Tem in all city negotiations.
Sorry, I lost internet connection. So before you make a motion, Joanne, can you
Okay, Sam is saying that it may die for lack of a motion. He made the motion that we include the mayor pro tem in all city negotiations.
Well, I would like to speak on behalf before. Can you see me?
No, I cannot, but we can hear you, so go for it.
Okay, sorry. I want to speak on behalf on this. I'm very passionate. I think that we have hired a city administrator who has done has been very diligent, and sorry, I can't see Cynthia.
Okay, Cynthia's gone in your back, so.
Okay, sorry.
There's Cynthia. She crawled up from under the desk, so.
Sorry, it's doing circles. I love our internet here. We've hired a city administrator who has been with us, who's very diligent and has made a lot of impact in our city, and is doing well on making decisions. And we have a strong mayor who has been elected to make her own decisions as well. And both of them are working really well together. I think adding someone else, love Elaine, but I think adding another hand into the fire is what we do not need. I think having just two of them is done very well. And both of them are both very passionate within the city. And have I guess what I'm trying to say is both can do wonders. So I am not for adding someone else, and I think which I caught the beginning of what Joanne was saying, and that she does well, and you don't find that at other cities. I'm next, I think, of going back to in-person meetings. I've been listening and watching other cities, and you don't find.
Change the topic, Ashley.
Do what? No, Sam, I'm not. I've been saying that I'm watching other cities to see how we can move forward. So you don't find three people trying to make a decision. So I think just the two of them, we can do fine. We don't need a third person. So no, Sam, do not put me down. And I think just the two of them, we have a great city administrator, and we have a mayor that was elected to go forward within our city. So I make a motion that we let the two of them do their job.
Okay, I've already made a motion, and
Yeah,
since
we can't take her motion.
protocol by waiting for a second,
okay,
well, go ahead and continue the discussion. I am not trying to usurp the mayor or the city administrator. I'm trying to provide continuity to the city because we do have a pandemic we're going through. People could get sick. We need to make certain that our city is properly represented in all these negotiations. I'm looking out for the safety of the city because we need to know the mayor pro tem is going to be acting if the mayor can't. We need to make sure that mayor pro tem is fully involved and fully educated and notified on all the issues. Now, if you don't think that's necessary, of course you can vote against it. Now, I have made a motion that we have the mayor pro tem included. Now, it may die for lack of a second, but I have made a motion. Is there a second?
And we're going to address that, Sam. You'll know what Sam's motion is. Is there a second? Josh is seconding.
Well, I am seconding it, but let me tell you why. As Sam just stated, putting anybody aside, okay, we're looking at strictly the roles, not the individuals. And just like any business in major decisions, you're going to have your president and your vice president involved in any major negotiations. That way, there's always backup in case one of them is out, the other one knows what's going on. So whether it's Elaine or anyone else down the road, we're looking at a backup for the mayor. I understand that the city administrator is already involved. She is there for a staff perspective. I believe we also need to have a council perspective, and I believe that would be the mayor pro tem. I understand that the mayor is also on the council and they bring the council perspective, but I think we need to have two separate individuals because the mayor is, again, a public figurehead over all of staff and council. So I feel that, like Sam said, we are in the pandemic. We're looking at safety concerns and what is best for the city. And I think by providing a backup in case one person is out, I think that that is a good thing to do at this time. So I am seconding Sam's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Okay, we're going to go to a vote. Councilman 1, Josh McKay.
Mayor,
I
raised my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Elaine is over here to my left. She raised her hand and I did not see her. I apologize.
No, not a problem. I have to just say that my experience tells me that there are certain things in business that are important for the continuity of work. And so, as Josh said, this isn't about Elaine Priest. This is about Mayor Pro Tem situation. There are several things in business that are important. Cross training is one of those. Team building is another. And so I think that municipal organization and situations are not an exception to that, but also can benefit from that. Cross training happens to have helped us a lot as the pandemic came along, and Cynthia had already been working with the staff over there to make sure they were cross trained and they could fill in for each other through sickness, through family needs, whatever it was. It turned out to be the pandemic, and they had to work different days even, and so it was important they were able to back each other up. So I just want to say then that team building is another thing. It shows a certain unity by working together, and certainly the mayor is a strong mayor. Our administrator Cynthia is fabulous at what she does. She has a different perspective because she's on the management side for personnel. She's not an elected official, which is as we all know, with elected officials, it can change every election. And so she gives that stability as an administrator. I think that also it offers a variety of talents. I also know that Mayor Wilson had the opportunity to be Mayor Pro Tem herself in the past, and she worked very closely with the mayor at that time. And they were, from my understanding, a very strong duo working together for the benefit of Rome back then. And so I know that she's had experience being Mayor Pro Tem and then working in with the mayor. So I'm just saying that there are some business strengths in cross training. There are some business strengths in working together as a team. And so I just wanted to point out those business experiences that I've seen that have been successful and helpful in the workplace. That's my comments.
Can anyone else have any discussion? Carvin, do you have anything to offer?
Well, the only thing I would say is I do not believe this would create a conflict in our statute. In our ordinance, I believe it's just adding additional responsibilities to the Mayor Pro Tem. So I think it would be okay if the council chooses to add those additional responsibilities.
Okay, we'll move to a vote if I have no one else with any discussion. Okay, here we go. Josh, Councilman 1.
Aye.
Councilman 2, Michelle Ty.
Aye.
Councilman 3, Elaine Priest.
Aye.
Councilman 4, Sam Eason.
Aye.
And Councilman 5, Ashley Majors.
Nay.
Okay, I have 3 for, 1 against it. So I guess we'll call this a done deal, and we will start negotiations that way, Cynthia. And Elaine, do you have anything else to say?
Only to say, Mayor, that I've offered several times to do all that I can to support you, and I absolutely still feel that way. I want you to be a terrific, successful mayor, and if I can help with that, then I'm happy to do it.
And I appreciate that. That was completely unsolicited. So, hey, we're going to move on now. We were at item P. Now we're going to move to item D. And we kind of have already talked on that, but Councilmember Majors, do you have something to offer there?
Are we looking at item Q?
We're looking at item Q, yes, sir. We may
Okay.
have lost Ashley again. No, here she is. Ashley, we read item Q, discussion and necessary action regarding moving back to in-person meetings. Do you have anything else to add rather than what you added a while ago? Basically, your first one was more or less changing the hours or opening the city hall up longer. This one has to do with in-person meetings.
Sorry, Mayor, I had to leave
I'm
and
sorry,
come
you
back.
have anything? Yeah, what would you like to discuss on that?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to add to go back into in-person meetings. If we could go ahead and start meeting to in-person, just as well as the other cities around us are doing. This other cities around us, we have Roanoke, Haslett, Boyd, Decatur, Northlake, and Trophy Club are all in person. Justin is the only one that are doing Zoom. I think that we could do in person at our community center and social distance and open it up to where our citizens can listen to us by calling in and still be a part of it or watching. I think that we need to move forward. And I like, again, I've already spoke on open the city hall up to 4 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock. But I mean, I've run into council members at Dollar General. Some of you have spoke up about going out to eat and going to work. So let's move forward. I think that we should all work together instead of on Zoom. Some of, maybe not, our city secretary could possibly not join us. She could be on Zoom. Our attorney could be on Zoom. But let's work together and move forward. So that's my opinion. And I think our residents would like to see us as well. And them being able to talk to us, them being able to, if it's them on Zoom, that they could interact with each other if we're in person. So I would like to see that.
Michelle Ty, you have your hand up.
I don't have an opinion either way. I could meet in person or I could still stay here, but I would have to defer to the people that are around at-risk people or are at risk themselves, because I mean, I think they're if they believe that they might die of this, then I think that's a priority over us meeting in person. And that's about it.
Josh, Councilman McKay.
Carmen, what is the legalities of us meeting in person but not allowing people to join us in person, making them meet virtually? Is that against Open Meetings Act if we don't allow them there if we're in person?
Well, there's a couple of different things in play right now. Right now, we're operating under the governor's waiver of the requirements of in-person Open Meeting Act. So if we didn't have the waivers, we would revert back to the standard requirements of the Open Meetings Act, which would require in-person meetings, a quorum, and it would require allowing the public to attend that meeting. As long as the waivers are in place, you have the option, you have the right to hold the meetings by audio or video conference. But once the governor's waiver ends, you won't have any choice. You'll have to go back to the way we've always done it under the Open Meetings Act, which means posting meeting and allow the public access to that public location. And by the way, as you recall, under this existing act, we are not required at this time to post it either audio or video live. So basically, you just have to allow people to show up in person to the meeting if we didn't have the governor's waivers.
So as it sits now, we have the waivers that say we can do it virtually. But if the council decides to meet in person, would that be us stating that we're not following those waivers and we have to allow the citizens the right to attend in person?
No, if you chose, you could attend the council could all choose to show up at a single location, but you would be opting under the waivers to require the public to only call in or video conference. So we'd have to essentially set up this same Zoom setup that you have and allow the public to access the meeting that way, but then essentially all of the council and the mayor would join the city administrator, the city secretary, wherever they're located, and that would be your one location, and you'd all just sit within the view of the single camera.
Thank you.
Now, could they, if we all met social distancing, could the citizens not, could it only be listen to us instead of video conference? Excuse me. Could they, does it have to be?
As long as the waivers are in effect, yes, they could be limited to just the audio access to the meeting. But once the governor quits issuing waivers, then we're going back to the way we did it before.
Thank you.
Yes, Michelle Ty.
Now, can we do something like a hybrid where if part of the city council didn't want to come, they didn't have to, but then part could, and you could still be on Zoom? I know that might be a nightmare, but.
No, that is possible, and it is done in some of other cities that I'm familiar with. But again, that would be under the waivers. In other words, it would be a solution that would be available. So even now, two of you could go to each other's house and you could Zoom from that location, and that would just be your choice. But the only reason we'd be able to do that is because the governor has waived the other requirements. And I believe the deadline for this next waiver is sometime first week of March.
Yeah, usually the waivers show up 4th or 5th of the month. And I forget, Cynthia, this was the 5th maybe or something we got the waiver.
Well, I see your hands up. I was I'll wait until everybody's spoken. I wanted to interject.
Well, okay, Mr. Eason.
Thank you, Mayor. One, I don't see how it helps having just the council present and not the citizens, because if the council and everyone is present and we social distance in the community center, I don't believe that provides any room for more than 2 or 3 people in the public. Two, I know I'm at high risk, and I also have a brother-in-law that's high risk, and I find it to be a hazard to be socializing in, having in-person council meetings. So I believe it's a health risk to do it for myself. So I'd like to refer back to the vote that we had back on November 12th, agenda item U, where we voted to have virtual meetings and agree to them as long as they're permitted by the governor. And so I would like to make a motion that we continue with that we have virtual meetings as long as they're available from the governor.
Okay, Ashley, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion from Sam Eason, basically that we continue like we're currently doing with go-to-meetings with council, also allowing callers to call in, and Sam posted a special date, and I do not have it down, that the council had voted to do this. Do I have any more discussion?
Do we need a motion on this if it's already in place to do it?
I wouldn't think so, but Corbin, we'll defer to you.
You do not need a motion, but if you wish to pass one, it will not hurt anything. But at the moment, there is not a second to the motion, so we have a dangling motion.
Then I will second the motion to continue as we have been.
Okay.
So is that a good motion to Sam's motion? So we just keep on keeping on, but let's vote. Josh, you get to vote first.
Aye.
Michelle Ty.
Aye.
Elaine Priest, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Place 4, Councilman Sam Eason.
Aye.
And place 5, Councilman Majors.
Nay.
So again, the motion to keep on the current motion has passed. So we will continue meeting as we are now. And we'll wait and see what the governor's, if he gives us an exception next month. And as Corbin has explained, if he doesn't, then here we go. We got to come face to face again. Okay, we're moving on then to, I guess, to go back to executive session. We're through with everything. We're going back to I, discussion and any necessary actions regarding possible extension of current city hall lease. And Councilman Josh McCabe has requested we move that to executive session. So we will close this. And is there anybody other than me that don't have the phone number for executive session? Okay, we will end, well, not end, but we will take a break, go to executive session. It is 8:13 p.m. We will return at 8:20 p.m.
Mayor, if I could just interrupt, you do need to recite that we're going under executive session section 551.072 regarding the deliberation regarding real property.
Okay. And as Corbin has just read to you, that is our authority to go into executive session. So it is 8:14. We'll resume about 8:20. Okay, I'm now unmuted. We are closing regular session to go into executive session. It is 8:14 p.m. We will resume start executive session at 8:20. So we are now out of here, and y'all call back in by 8:20 for executive session.
You have the number now?
No,
Huh?
I need it.
It's not on here.
Well, I can, here, I can get here.
Text Cynthia and tell her.
No, here, I can
Michelle, I think you may have more challenge coins than I do. Quite a few.
That's probably not even a quarter of them.
Michelle, tell us what we're looking at.
You're talking about the challenge coins?
You're breaking up really bad. It's hard to hear you.
Are you talking? Can you hear me?
Not well.
Internet.
Josh, can you tell me what we're looking at?
I just remind you guys, if it's not on the agenda, we can't talk about it.
There you
It's
go.
not city business. We're waiting for the mayor to resume regular session.
You got
We can't
four
talk
of you
about
present.
non-city business, right?
You constitute a quorum of the council, so.
Right, but it's not city business, correct?
Okay. I will defer to that.
Challenge coins are a military law enforcement thing. It's basically an easy recognition of thanks for doing a good job. We support you kind of thing. It's also a drinking game. The higher the challenge coin at a bar with friends, the lower the coin number, the better chance of winning. The higher the number, the more drinks you're gonna have to buy, basically.
So are you telling me that Raquel Ty's been in bars winning coins for a while?
I wouldn't say that. That's probably more the military side. But it just means she's worked with a lot of people, and a lot of people say she does a good job. So.
We do the drinking game, but they'll pull out the challenge coin and you have to have yours. If you don't, then you have to drink. If y'all heard that, I don't know.
I think I do have one coin that would probably beat almost anybody, except for maybe 2 or 3. So I'll keep that one quiet.
I just called her.
Yeah, I forgot just a second ago, you have to leave the first meeting to get into the second meeting, so just may have to remind her.
Cynthia actually closed the other meeting, so she would have been kicked out of it.
Okay.
Should we have the mayor pro tem resume the meeting and then have future agenda items?
Theoretically, yes, you could do that, but you probably ought to wait a few more minutes before you make that decision.
Okay.
And I would just say, Ashley, while we're waiting on the other folks, you have the right to call me as the city attorney at any time. So I didn't mean to really cut you off in executive session. It's just executive session's kind of sensitive. So you can call me anytime. That goes for the rest of you for that matter.
I think she just left so she could.
Yeah, I think she left me. Yeah. All she wanted. Now, technically, as you guys know, we do have to come back into regular session and we do have to gavel the meeting back into order, even if there wasn't anything else to do.
I don't know about y'all, but Texas ain't supposed to get this cold.
I agree there.
It's gonna get colder next week, down in the teens.
The valley's looking really attractive right now.
Did anybody see, did they have the bridge sanded down this morning in Fort Worth, or did they, I mean,
I don't think that they did, from what I can tell. I think they were getting there, but I don't think they had enough of an urgency to need to sand everything down. Because I don't think they were expecting. Yeah, I don't think they were expecting water or anything. It just happened, you know, the morning dew and mist and whatnot just kind of slicked it up enough.
Last I heard, it was over 100 cars and 6 fatalities.
Yeah, that's the most devastating wreck I've heard in a long time.
I saw a few of the videos, and I don't know if they couldn't see it coming over that bridge or what, but some of those 18-wheelers, it looked like they weren't even slowing down. I don't know if they couldn't or what, but it's I saw some pictures and stuff. It's not pretty.
Well, one of the downsides of being on the toll road, an express, if you will, is that you're going to be encouraged to drive as fast, to keep going, drive fast. And when you have potentially icy roads, you need to not have that encouragement.
Some people, unfortunately, I mean, they'll drive on it thinking there's less people on there. Even at like in inclement weather, they're like, well, I don't want to drive fast. I just want to
because we can see you.
I was trying to go.
I understand. Let me know when you're going to do that. I'll turn the camera off.
You got the camera off, but you still have the mic on.
Yeah, well. Say hello to Tom.
That's why we're happy we're working from home, so we don't have to deal with those road conditions right now. So
yeah.
Okay, we've given it a few minutes. Elaine, would you gavel this meeting back into order?
I'm texting her right now. She's having issues with her computer, and internet. We gotta love CenturyLink. So
Well, I don't want to.
She's trying to call in right now, but if you want to.
So what we need to do is go back into regular session and then ask for agenda items and then a motion to adjourn.
Just one last shot. If the mayor can just call in, she's not required to be on video.
Okay, give me 1 second.
If she can call in, she can run the meeting by audio.
I would rather her do it.
I'm just feeling like we've been here long enough.
These are extraordinary times we're living through.
So tell me about the football program, Irvin. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, I kind of agree with Sam. If we had other stuff that we had to talk about, other agenda items, I'd say let's try and wait. But I think right now we're just future agenda items and adjourning. So I'm with Sam. If we want to have Elaine just finish that up, we can get out of here.
How long has it been, Shannon?
It's been about at least 15 minutes.
I've got the mayor on the phone, and Mayor, am I understanding you to say to have Elaine go ahead and call the meeting back to order and close it out? Hello? I thought I had her.
If Elaine can just finish it, we're ready to just get.
Okay, we'll have her call us back to order and finish it out then, Mayor.
Yeah, future agenda items. We got 5 phones working here and none of them are working.
Okay, all righty.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So Mayor Pro Tem, she has asked if you would go ahead and call it back to order and close it out with the future agenda items and then close it out.
Okay. The time is 8:54 p.m. and we're back into regular session. There is no action as a result of closed executive session. So do I have any future agenda items?
It appears not. I motion to adjourn.
I second.
Josh McCabe has made the motion. Sam Eason has seconded. So we will take a vote. Councilman McCabe?
Aye.
Councilman Ty?
Aye.
Councilperson Elaine? Aye. Councilperson Eason?
Aye.
And Councilperson, I don't see Ashley Majors?
She's left the meeting.
All right, the motion is passed, and I guess we are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Good
Well
night.
done.